Welcome back to Capitol Review. We continue to go through some of President Donald Trump's executive orders. One of those includes the end to diversity, equity, and inclusion and accessibility programs and policies. And joining Capitol Review is Dr. Omékongo Dibinga of the UPstander International and professor at American University. Yes. You're here to talk about this, help us understand the impact here. This is going to have a very real material impact on employment policies across the U.S.
Well, thanks for having me, and I'm so glad you mentioned the accessibility part, because one of the main areas that we're seeing is that they're looking to roll back accessibility to contracts, to federal contracts. You see some of the corporate rollbacks that are happening, diversity suppliers, where companies like the Walmarts and the Costcos and the Targets, they had diversity programs, some of them still do, where they're looking to have diversity in who their suppliers are. This targets that. In the federal government, some of the federal contracts in this country, so many black people disproportionately, and not just black people, but many black people disproportionately work for the federal government or are federal contractors. They're working to target that as well. So you see Asians, blacks, Latinos as well. The primary beneficiaries of these federal contracts are actually white women as well. So there's going to be an issue there as well. They're the #1 beneficiary of the federal contracts that's also being targeted.
We've seen a number of emails go to federal workers about DEI ending and that they should report whether anyone is in those positions. You said this wasn't expected. You told me that earlier. It's not unexpected. But what is the vibe like? How are people feeling? Is there a paranoia now?
Oh my goodness, there's paranoia, there's real fear. I've seen stories in some of my networks online where people literally had trainings that were canceled an hour before they were supposed to start. I've seen people post jobs that their job announcements from last year that was related to something in DEI in the government, and then under that, I just got laid off today. So there's real fear in what's happening because people are seeing real consequences. And then there's dissension between employees because people are wondering if their colleagues are going to tell on them if they're doing anything relating to DEI. So there's a who can I trust mindset as well right now.
Okay, so what does the work look like for the folks who do want to move forward, push forward for DEI initiatives? What does that look like right now?
It looks like coming together. It looks like deciding to support the organizations and the companies, the schools that want to stay committed to DEI. We're just coming off for Dr. King's holiday, and he talked about true integration was about the sharing of power, resources, and responsibility. So make a list, check it twice, and make sure that you're also looking at voting for people who want to create communities where everybody can be celebrated and not tolerated.
I believe the expression you used was fatigue. We saw so much progress for the movement after the George Floyd death, his murder. And now you say we're in a phase of pullback.
Yes.
Tell me what happens next.
Well, this has happened throughout history. Reconstruction was pulled back and we got Jim Crow. And then we had the Civil Rights Acts of the 60s that got pulled back because people started targeting voting rights and the like. So what happens next is that we have to make sure that we don't have to enter another third phase where it's decades before we're looking to get the rights that we deserve as a human people. So we have to fight, we have to vote, we have to educate ourselves on the history because we've been here before. America has America'd before.
All right. Dr. Omékongo Dibinga, thank you so much for making the time. Dr. Dibinga from UPstander International and American University.